Hey folks, Dawn and Ryan here with Roll for Initiative, and we're bringing you another Learn to Play brought to you by the Bearded Bird Brewing Company.
So this week we'll be playing Flip Ship from Renegade Games Studio, and we're playing with our friends Joe and James. This is a dexterity-based game, anywhere from 1 to 4 players, and you'll see that it's pretty good for parties or even out at your local games night or something like that. I really enjoy it. It's a neat blend of Galaga, Space Invaders, and Flip Cup. So we're going to teach you how to play it and give you a little bit of actual play. To set up the game, first take the 6 interlocking Battlezone tiles and connect them on the side corresponding to the number of players. So if you find 2 dots, that's a 2-player game, and no dots at all, that's the 3 to 4 person game. If you're playing by yourself, you're going to be using it as if you were playing with 4 players. The Battlezone tiles have moon spaces where the enemy ships are going to appear. That's all of these spaces up top. It also has an atmosphere. That's where you don't want enemy ships to get to, or else your city ends up taking damage. These tiles have the health tracker for the city and for the mothership. Shuffle the level 1, 2, and 3 pilot cards together into their own different decks. Deal 1 card from each deck to the right of the battle zone per player. These are your powers, and it should be random. Each player selects a color and takes all of the ships of that color. Place them on the corresponding pilot cards. Place 2 level 1 ships from your pilot card on the table above the level 3 ships, just like this. In a 2-player game, you take all of the level 1 ships and you put them on the table. Shuffle the deck of the enemy cards. Deal cards that correspond to the number of players and the difficulty level that you want to use based on this chart that's in the rulebook. For a standard game with 4 players, we deal out 45 cards. Set aside the remainder of the enemy cards. They're not going to be used in this game. From the deck, deal enemy ship cards face up to form 2 rows of 5 ships next to the moon spaces furthest from the edge of the table. Cards should have about a half an inch between them. If you want, you can use the targeting computer card and it'll be really precise. It's the small little gray piece at the bottom. Place the blue city health tracker. For training or a standard game, it's put on 20. Place the white mothership health tracker on the spot that corresponds with the number of players and the difficulty level that you selected. Based on this chart in the book, our standard 4-person game, it's 6. So the mothership has a health of 6 and we have 20. Put the targeting computer card nearby. Put the docking bay near all of the pilot cards and place the order marker above the first player's ships. Put together the mothership. It forms a little box, and place it just above the middle card on the last moon space. You'll align it with the top of the Battlezone track. If your table doesn't have a really good edge to flip off of, or if you just want to use the launch pad, then go ahead and take this piece. Make sure that the bottom of the battle zone is a few inches away from the edge of the table so that the ships are flipped from behind the edge of the atmosphere line.
Each round is played in 4 phases. Flip ships, resolve enemy attacks, the enemy marches, and cleanup. In the flip ship phase, a player tries to flip their active ship onto enemy cards or into the mothership. You place the ship so it's partially off the edge of the table where the atmosphere is. You strike the ship upwards with your finger to flip it towards the enemy ships. Ships must flip at least 1 full rotation. Leave them where they land and leave any cards where they are if they get shifted by the ships. Any ship that lands completely in the atmosphere can be reflipped, but if it lands 3 times in a row in the atmosphere, that ship must be placed in the docking bay. Keep in mind that your pilot card will grant you special abilities, like being able to move your ship using the targeting computer card. Once a player has flipped all their ships, resolve the attacks. If a ship did not successfully attack an enemy or mothership, put it back in the docking bay. All ships will end up going back to the docking bay after they've been resolved. To tell if a ship landed on the enemy card, it must be on the card and inside the pink line, so it's not on the edge. That means the enemy card is destroyed. Remove it from the game. If the enemy card is shielded next to a card with a shield icon, or requires 2 hits represented by 2 X's, don't take the ship off the card. Instead, place it in the middle to represent one hit. If a ship is in the mothership, move the mothership health tracker down. Then the next player flips their ships and resolves their attacks until everyone has gone. If after everyone has had their turn, ships are still on shielded or 2-hit enemy cards, these ships are returned to the dock before moving to Phase 3. Phase 3, the enemy marches. Move any remaining enemy cards down the number of spaces indicated on the cards, moving in columns from the atmosphere to the mothership. This card moves 1 space. This card moves 2 spaces and pushes any ships in front of it forwards. This card moves until it's blocked by another ship, and if no ship stops it, it moves into the atmosphere. Any ships that have made it into the atmosphere by the end of the march phase damage the city. Total the damage and move the city health tracker down on the health track. Shuffle these enemy cards back into the deck. During the cleanup phase, move all ships from the docking bay to the space above their pilot cards. If the health marker reached a space with a ship icon, add a number of new ships equal to the number of spaces reached. You have to choose from the lowest available ship. Now from the enemy deck, refill the back 2 rows with enemy ships. Always start in the back and fill right to left. Move the start player marker to the next player and the next round begins. When there are 6 or fewer enemy ships in play at the start of a round, this is the last round before the final assault. At the end of this round, all enemy ships will move to the atmosphere and do double damage, but they do get destroyed in the attack and don't get shuffled back into the enemy deck. Also during the last round, no reinforcements are sent in during cleanup. In the final assault, each player takes their turn trying to flip their ships one at a time into the mothership. Each time a ship lands in the mothership, move the mothership health tracker down. If the mothership health tracker reaches 0, you win. If all players have flipped their ships but the mothership still has health left, it attacks and destroys the city. The players lose. One additional note, you can't use ship powers during the final assault. If you happen to destroy the mothership prior to the final assault, you still must defeat all the enemy ships to win. And that's flip ship. The game does have some variant forms of play, but we're going to stick with the standard game today. So let's jump right into the game footage. Alright, let's play.
There you have it, folks. Flip Ship from Renegade Games Studio. It's a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. And we got quite a few different rounds in.
So we make these Learn to Play videos every month, sponsored by Bearded Bird Brewing Company, located in downtown Norfolk. And they have Tabletop Tuesdays every Tuesday. Hence the Tabletop Tuesday. And once a month, we're out there teaching you folks how to play.
Right, so don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next Learn to Play by Roll for Initiative.
Bye!